Boom, we're live. What's up? This is Fade U Sports on February 2nd. We're doing a look ahead for tomorrow, Saturday, February 3rd. College basketball preview show. We got two of the dads, three of us actually, but two of my guests today. The first one, the one and only Joey Cheese coming at us from all the way on the east side. And we got a central Midwestern with us, our homie that's been with us the last couple shows, our boy Clint. Welcome to the show, boys. We have a lot to go over tonight.
What up, boys? Clint, thanks for joining us again. Good to see you.
Yep, thanks for having me back.
Good to see you. Duke, looking good as always. Now that the raper mustache is gone.
Cleaned it up. Had to meet a customer today, so you gotta clean it up, right?
There you go. Shave your face. You look like you're 9. Yeah, I mean a lot of big games this weekend. A lot of games to get into. Some great matchups. Why don't we start with Baylor, Iowa State? Clint, why don't you kick us off here?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Baylor's coming off the road win at UCF the other night. Know some of the people that we follow were kind of split between that game. Cheese, I know you tweeted out Baylor right before tip, and I joined you on that.
I did not tweet it. I just texted it to you.
That's my fault.
Yeah, I was on Baylor though. With me and CT
Clint,
Bets.
I think Clint tweeted it.
Yeah, but
I did not tweet that out.
But one thing that Baylor started to show in conference is that they get off the slow starts in the first half and then all of a sudden make adjustments, and then their offense really gets going. So, I mean, I'm looking at full game for them tomorrow because this is part of that ranked versus ranked system that Duke and I like. And with them at -3, I like it full game, but also may add at the second half at halftime if they're down a couple possessions.
There you go. So you like Baylor at -2.5 and minus? I'm seeing it at 2.5 and 3 in some places.
Yeah, I
You
wouldn't.
like it at both?
Yeah, I wouldn't go anything more than 3. If it's at 2.5, even if you can get the money line at like a 140, that would be a good option too.
All right.
Yeah.
There's also one thing with Iowa State. Last week we were on them, but they were at home, and they've been playing very different on the road, especially in the system. They lost at BYU a couple of weeks ago by 15. We should have gotten it last week with them at TCU, but TCU gave up 31 points off turnovers to them, and Iowa State still let them back in the game and only lost by 1.
Yeah, it's not a very good Iowa State team. I know they play defense, but this team struggles to score in times.
Yeah.
I agree. I think for me here, it's Baylor or pass. I do not have a dollar on it yet, but it is a spot I'm looking at for sure. Duke, you like it just because of the system, or do you actually do you have a lean towards Baylor here?
Yeah, I like it because of the system, and like Clint said, just different team. The home and road splits. They just don't seem like they're the same Cyclone team on the road, and Baylor's going to be fired up to get a big time, good looking win on their resume because they've dropped a few recently. So, yeah, go Bears.
Go Bears. All right. Well, we got another big 12 o'clock game. Your defending champion Huskies, it's no secret I am a huge fan of. Why don't you talk a little bit about this? We got UConn. I'm seeing some -3s, -115 and -3.5, -110 at St. John's. Why don't you get us started here?
Well, we love to see that. If it's going to come down a little bit, maybe it gets that line freeze at 3.5, just stays there with all the. I mean, I tell Clinton, you guys all the time, Matt Bone and I talk about love to fade the barely ranked teams. How about love to fade the fucking top 5 teams?
How about the best team in the country?
Yeah. Remember Clint a couple weeks ago? We're like, down goes Purdue, down goes this team, down goes. It's like, how the mighty have fallen. You got to let them. They're just you're telling me the best team in the country against a team that's dropped 4 of their last 5, just got beat by an average Xavier team by 11, is now only catching 3 to the fucking world, the national champs of last year. that have been dominating teams. So it's just disgusting. I'm going to look at that. Obviously, if it goes the other way, up to four or five, I'll hold. But if it just stays locked in there with all the tickets and money, then that's a sharp buy for me. That would be a six packs, 26 and 22. It's good, about 54%. You're getting a good return on my poopy six packs this year. Hopefully we can have a good one again tomorrow.
Clint, any opinion here? I know in our group chat you always puss out and you're scared to fire the garbage, but
I am, especially with UConn. There's 4 teams that I just will not fade. It's either a play on or not at all for me. So
who are those 4 teams? I'm curious.
UConn, Houston, Indiana State, and New Mexico.
Wow.
New Mexico's at home, though. The home, right? You'll get them on there. Yeah.
It's a hell of a list.
All these are home. I mean, if they're on the road, chances are I'm not going to look at them unless it's a special circumstance. But it's a pass for me, but I trust Chris's judgment here.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's no secret here. I mean, I will not be putting my hard-earned money on St. John's tomorrow. They are absolutely fucking garbage. Tristan Newton and clinging
tonight. That's a different story,
dude. Yeah, absolutely. I like 5 and 13 teams better. But dude, Tristan Newton, Klingen, Caravan. I mean, this UConn team is loaded from top to bottom. Castle looks unstoppable. Ball's been balling out. I wouldn't be surprised to see this UConn team go back to back. They are not a team I'm looking to step in front of. But with that being said, I certainly can't play St. John. I can't play UConn, but I certainly can't play St. John's here either. It's a pass for me. But we'll be cheering you on. All right, let's
try 1 or 2, baby.
Let's move on. Duke, why don't you talk a little bit in the 1 o'clock window in the SEC? South Carolina at Georgia. South Carolina, the Gamecocks are 18-3 versus the 14-7 Bulldogs. Georgia being a 1.5-point fave. What do you got?
Yeah, I wish they were ranked. Clint and I were talking. We really thought they'd be ranked after the huge win over Kentucky and a pretty solid win over Mizzou with that resume. But I guess the committee just doesn't like them enough yet. Now they will for sure be next week after that huge Tennessee win. But and this would be a system play because Georgia unranked landed against the ranked, but the Cocks aren't ranked quite yet. But 18-3, and again, you got a Georgia team coming in, lost 3 of their last 4, looked like shit in the second half last game. They gave up, what was it, like 54 or something, like 58 points to Alabama in the second.
Alabama went on the craziest run in the second half. It was wild.
And it sucks. We faded one of our great fades, and somehow it got sucked out. Georgia couldn't cover that 6.5. But
what was the first text message I sent you in the morning that day too?
So hopefully Georgia loses, and then it's a bomb on Saturday.
Well, before that, I was like, I have a funny feeling Alabama fucking runs them out the gym. Yeah. Of course, didn't pull the trigger.
They destroyed them in the second half. So, yeah, the Cocks coming in high, like we just said. They're on a huge, win streak. Beat Arkansas on the road, come home, destroy Kentucky and Mizzou, then go on the road and beat a really good Tennessee team who we know it's not an easy task to go into that gym and win. So, especially as double-digit dogs. So, yeah, I'm going to be looking to fade them tomorrow. Go Bulldogs.
Clint, any opinion here before we move on?
I lean Georgia. Haven't done anything with it yet, but we'll see which way the line moves. And I would go with Georgia right now as a small favorite.
I agree. There's another game at 1 o'clock that in particular I'm looking for Duke's opinion here. 1 o'clock on ESPN Plus. We have the Robert Morris University versus the Detroit Titans.
Oh my
Detroit
God.
is 0-23, catching only 5 points at home. Duke, do you have an opinion here?
I think like Clint has his not play against. I think Detroit might be on my not play on list. I think you and I have maybe sprinkled on them like 2 or 3 times, thinking this is a sharp.
Got to be the spot tonight.
It's a
Gotta
spot,
be the
right? They're only catching 7 to 14-8, and they're 0-20, and they keep it within 6 at half. And next thing you look, they're down 20. And
Dude, the other night they were down 2 with like 6 minutes left and lost by like 19.
Yeah,
I was like, what happened?
It's
I can't even believe it.
So I don't know. I mean, obviously, again, like you said, Cheese, I'm not going to play Robert Morris just because if I do, they'll win by 3, and the Titans will cover. But I don't know if I can put. I mean, maybe in the 6-pack just because they're 0-23.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to get into a game where I have a strong opinion, and I actually bet. It's 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. We are going to the Smith Center at the University of North Carolina. Rivalry game at home, giving 4 points to the Duke Blue Devils. I played on UNC -4 for 3 units. There is a strong possibility that by game time, this becomes a 5-unit max play for me. We talked all week. I expected UNC to open -6. They did. They opened 5.5. Public jumped all over it. Here we are. Get a better number with UNC. I would have played UNC up to -7.5 here. But we'll see how it goes. UNC's coming off that ugly loss to Georgia Tech, 74-73. RJ Davis, I feel like he's a top 3 point guard in the country. The kid is nasty. Outside of RJ, this UNC team shot 32% versus Georgia Tech. I'm willing to throw that out the window. That's an anomaly here. This team normally shoots well from the perimeter. They play well in the post. They play defense. They had, I think it was, I read earlier, it was their second worst showing at the free throw line in the last 15 seasons. They shot 49% from the free throw line in that game, and it ultimately cost them. Ingram and Ryan both shot 3 for 14 from the field here. I expect these guys to get hot. RJ Davis can't be scoring 30 points a night, keeping these guys in the game. Ingram bounces back. Ryan bounces back. Big games from these guys. I expect UNC to win this game by 3 possessions. Not too impressed with Duke either on the other end of the ball. I mean, they're coming off a couple good wins. Not really impressive, though, in my book. I mean, they beat a pretty lackluster Virginia Tech team by 10 and snuck by Clemson, who I don't think is really cream of the crop in the Atlantic Coast.
Last second foul, and 2 free.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty garbage. Not to mention Duke is 2-3 against the spread away from Cameron Indoor this year. I think this is a great spot for UNC to blow the fucking doors off. And I expect them to win by 3 possessions here. Clint, any opinion on this UNC game?
I would say how is this Hubert's 3rd year taking over?
I think so.
But in recent memory, this is probably the most complete UNC team that they've had, because they're usually good offensively, but on the defensive end, they haven't been all that great. But this year, they've really improved on that side. So, and Duke, they're playing a lot slower than they have in the past. And with UNC at home, I think they're going to be able to speed them up. And that's where the point differential, you think they're going to win by more than 3 possessions.
Yeah. Duke, you any opinion here on, I know we talked about it all week, but do you have an actual opinion?
No, yeah. I mean, again, I'm with you. I think it's a double-digit win. I love when the system play is when it's 2 rivals too. When a lot of times Duke historically is a super popular team to bet. I think they've been better over the last few years, especially with Krzyzewski. Like when you see them catching points that the average Joe wants to run and say, oh, it's Duke, North Carolina. It's going to be a close one, right? Like you're going to give me 6.
You're going to give me 4 points?
Yeah. You're going to give me points? Oh, okay. So tend to fade that and love that you love it. And love that the system's been great this year. And might have to be it's going to be a nice solid wager for me.
Same.
Nice. Kentucky, Tennessee. Let's get into the next one. Clint, why don't you start us off here? Any opinion here?
Well, I had a strong feeling for Kentucky if both teams weren't coming off a loss. Tennessee coming off that South Carolina game, that really doesn't set well with me because they're going to come ready to play. And Wednesday night, they were probably looking ahead to this one. And then Kentucky ends up losing at home in overtime to Florida, a team that they won earlier this year. And I think that surprised Kentucky a little bit. I
expected Kentucky to open up a favorite here. I really did.
Yeah, and especially with them being at home. But since
I expected it to be Kentucky -1, -1.5.
Yep.
The fact that we're seeing Tennessee -1.5, -2. It's like, fuck, how bad's my read here?
Right. And I think where Tennessee has the advantage is on the defensive end and inside. Kentucky's guards have been playing very good all year. They're deep on the perimeter. They got 5 guys averaging in double figures, but they don't have the bigs that can compete down low for the rebounds. And I think that could be the edge that Tennessee needs to pull this one out.
Yeah. Duke, any opinion on this spot?
I've wanted to bet like you guys said. I was hoping Clint was saying the look ahead was looking at like -1, pick 'em -1. But then now you guys said they come out as a short dog. Clint, didn't you hit up Ralph and he said, oh no, was it ranked versus unranked laying under 3?
No. No. Yes.
Yeah. So we said the ranked versus ranked, that's kind of like 50-50. That's not that good. So yeah. If it stays that way, I mean, if it gets bought down to like +1, maybe down to a pick 'em, maybe it's a buy sign on Kentucky. But if it goes Tennessee's way and the public seems to be a little bit on Kentucky, but yet the line's going the other way, then it's a stay away for me.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have much of an opinion on this game. I'd actually rather move on to something else. Duke, I know you've been trying to make a strong case all day in our group chat for UCF at home versus Oklahoma. Do you want to start us off here?
Yeah, I mean, they've been scrappy. I mean, one of the times I wanted to bet when Clint, like a month ago, Clint and I started talking more, I remember running by UCF at home against Kansas thinking that line 7 was just disgusting. And they sure enough, they fucking knocked them off. And they've just been kind of scrappy here. Obviously, they were scrappy as shit last Saturday before they let our Bearcats destroy them for our cover, which was great.
That was great. That was amazing.
So we kind of owe them one, or they owe us one too. So I'm leaning that way. It's disgusting. What'd you say, Clint? It's only like -2, -3, or something like that.
Oklahoma -2.5.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, you gotta, like I said, you gotta not a barely ranked team, but not like it's top 10. You got a team that's dropped a little bit in the rankings because they haven't looked good. But then they did give it to K-State pretty good last game, so that I'm sure the public's kind of getting back there. It might be bought back in on the Sooners, but I'm not at ranked 23. And I think UCF's going to be a little scrappy, especially now that they've seen them. And they've lost 3 of their last 4. So
I agree. I think it's UCF or pass here for me also.
Same.
Probably a little too nasty for Clint's taste, though.
I'm done with Oklahoma for a while. I'm 0-4 the last 2 weeks with those guys. So
yeah, you said the other night in our group chat that you can't bet them or bet against them.
No, last 4 games, every time I've been on them, they've lost. Every time I bet against them, they've won. So no thanks.
That's the way it goes sometimes. You know how it goes.
Yep.
All right, big game. Probably one of the better games on the slate. I I just can't come up with an opinion here. I've been looking at it all day. Number 4, Houston at Allen Fieldhouse versus the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas is a short home fave. Some +2s, +2.5s out there.
Short home dog.
Short home dog. I'm sorry. Short home dog. Clint, why don't you bust out the stat? Why don't you give out the Bill Self stat, buddy? We'd love to hear it.
So Bill Self's only been a home dog in Allen Fieldhouse one time in his Kansas career.
Which is like 70 years.
Yes.
Dog.
So that was back in February of 2021.
Versus Baylor?
Versus Baylor. And they were a 4.5-point dog and won outright by 13 points.
Wow. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Bill Self's he's been a dog on a neutral, right? A couple times, right?
Yeah, I think one other time was against Duke, and that was in 2016
at Madison Square Garden, where they were technically the home team, but it's really a neutral, right?
Yes.
And they blow the doors off them there too, right?
Yes. Yeah, they got that cover. So.
Yeah.
Tough. Yeah. I mean, this is a Houston team I've watched play. Dude, they're fast. They're big. They play fucking defense. They're scrappy. They bang shots. Kids are hustling. I don't know, man. I don't know if I want to step in front of this Houston team right now. Duke, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've told you guys I've talked to Clint about it all season. I think the best home team, I mean, one of the best home and field advantages or court advantages in all of sports is Fog Allen, man. I love it. He's got a 94.8. I mean, we're talking 95 out of 100 games that motherfucker has won, and that's not a small sample size. He's there his 20th year. And that's one of the times where you could actually lay the wood on money lines, whether it's minus 100, 200, 1,200, and you're going to get an amazing, amazing return. But this is one of those ones where you're like, man, is it too easy though? Like, you're going to give me plus money.
That's the problem.
You're going to give me
That's
plus
the problem
money?
here.
You don't ever get the Jayhawks.
Kansas looks so appealing. Like it looks so right, but it feels so wrong.
But Houston has their 2 losses this year are at Iowa State and at TCU. So we know they can be vulnerable on the road. And those are 2 pretty hostile environments, but we all know Kansas is above both those 2. So lean that way. But
both of Houston's losses are on the road, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
those were the same week too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what a great game tomorrow to look forward to. Clint, before we move on, anything else in that game?
No, I think the main matchup is Jamal Shed, the 2-point guards, Shed versus Harris. Harris has been prone to turnovers this year, and against this team, that's where they get you in those points off turnovers. So if he takes care of the ball and can contribute close to 8 to 10 points, I think Kansas has a really good shot to even pull it out.
Yeah, I think you're right. All right, well, we got one more big game to talk about, but I want to talk about the San Diego State game. But before we get into that, Duke, do you have a best bet that you want to give out, or is it kind of just a mishmash of all the poop we've talked about so far?
Yeah, no best, but I guess I'd probably, and you already. It'd probably be UNC. I know that's your second best. It'd probably be UNC. Either that or I'll just stick with I've been talking about it for about 3 years now. I've loved how powerful Self is at home, and I think it's whatever. I mean, it's like, we talk about how Saban never gets points. All these, it's like this is like one of the more rare things in all of sports. So it's pretty cool. Like,
I agree.
But UNC, go Tar Heels, Michael Jordan, James Worthy, motherfucker.
Love both of them. Clint, why don't you get into I know you have a major opinion on Drake, Indiana State. Why don't you dive into that?
So last week we were on Indiana State versus Bradley, which we got that cover in overtime. the one that actually did come through for us.
Covered 8 points in overtime, if I remember correctly.
And thankful for a missed free throw at the very end.
Yeah.
So little update. Last week I talked about I like these small home favorites and finding teams that really fit this profile. Indiana State is 7-1 ATS as a home favorite. They are 7-4 in their Missouri Valley games, and 8 points or less, they are 7-1 ATS. And Wednesday night, they had to go to Belmont, and they ended up winning the game by 6, but they were an 8.5 point favorite. So last week we had them coming off a non-cover, and now they got that game coming up. They just had that game, so they are 6-1 off non-covers.
Wow.
So at that setup,
good sample size. I mean, decent little sample size.
Yeah, especially within just 22 games.
Right.
Drake and Indiana State played about 3 weeks ago at Drake, and the game was tied at halftime at 43. Drake came out and shot 53% from the field and 46% from three. And their best player, Derek DeVries, was 6 of 10 from three for 29 points. So he averages about 22. So pretty close. He played a little bit above, but the biggest difference was Indiana State had 15 turnovers compared to Drake's 3.
Wow.
So the second half, Drake really turned up the defensive pressure. Indiana State's guards couldn't handle it, and it led to a lot of fast break points. I don't see that happening tomorrow. I see Indiana State making those adjustments, and this is for the conference tomorrow because Indiana State's through their top part of the schedule. They don't have to play Belmont, Drake, or Bradley anymore. They went 4-1 in those games so far,
which is huge.
Yes. So if they get Drake tomorrow, they're 5-1 against the top half of the league, and their schedule is much easier. So this is their big game of the year.
And those teams are clearly the cream of the crop in the Missouri Valley. I mean, then there's a major drop off after.
Don't forget about my Salukis here. Okay,
stop it.
Hey, Drake plays them next game, but I do expect Indiana State to pull this one out. I like it. It's at 5.5 right now. Open 4.5. I like it up to 6. If you're a little late, 6.5 at the most, but get it below 6 if you can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm riding you. This fucking Clint's favorite team is Indiana State. It's like going back to the well. I love it.
Hey, you got to ride with Larry Bird when you can.
I hear you. Yeah. Oh, that's right. I forgot he went there. Yep. All right. Well, I mean, if no one else has anything else, I have one more 3-unit best bet, which has just like UNC, strong possibility I make this a 5-unit play tomorrow. I absolutely am fucking in love with the Aztecs -5 at home versus Utah State tomorrow. This is San Diego State team coming off a bad L versus Colorado State. Lost that game 79-71. They got back to within like 3. The next thing you know, I go to the bathroom, I come back, they're down 11 again. Like they just couldn't close that out. Colorado State pretty much controlled that game from tip to buzzer. It's a San Diego State team that's 16-5 overall, 5-3 in the Mountain West. I am not a huge fan. I am not a huge fan of this conference. I don't think many of the teams are very good. I do believe this Aztecs team is the cream of the crop over there. I really do. This Aztec team, I was reading some stuff earlier and I was shocked to see this. They have a plus 182 point differential this year, which means when they are winning games, they are blowing teams the fuck out. They are led by Jaden Ledee, 21.5 points a game, 9 rebounds. The kid can just take a fucking game over. I fully expect him to bang on these fucking bums from Utah State tomorrow. And it can't go without noting this Aztec team they have it like a 3-headed monster in the backcourt. Their guard play is ridiculous. Walters Parrish, and Butler. All three of these dudes are filthy. I believe they are probably the best backcourt in basketball behind Creighton and UConn. Just my opinion. But this Aztecs team is deep, man. They play a 9-man rotation. They get guys in, get guys out. They're healthy, fresh legs. I expect them to bang the boards versus Utah State team. I don't think Utah State gets the open looks that they're used to and accustomed to. I just think it's a really good spot for this San Diego State team to bounce back. I fully expect them to win this game by 40. I was waiting for that. No, but
40-point blowout.
At -5, I really do love San Diego State here. There is a really good chance that I make this a 5-unit max play tomorrow. And something else caught my eye. Not something I really look too far into because I don't think previous seasons mean as much when it comes to games like this, but Utah State is 0-10 against the spread last 10 versus San Diego State. San Diego State defends their home court. I expect San Diego State to slow this bum-ass team down. I don't care what the numbers are at their record. This Utah State team is not very good. They cost me $1 million in March Madness last year, getting blown out. I was all over them in that game, and they got thrashed. And they lost their best player, in my opinion, Stephen Ashworth. Homie went to Creighton, who I believe is the best team in the country. But yeah, so San Diego State -5 is a play for me. All jokes aside, I would play it up to -6.5. But luckily right now there's -5s everywhere. Clint, do you have an opinion?
All line.
I can't. No, I'm not ready for the alt line yet. Alt lines come out closer to March Madness. Clint, any opinion here?
I'm with you. It's San Diego State or pass for me. And like you said, San Diego State's been good on their home court. I was on them a couple weeks ago against Nevada when they were coming off the beat down at New Mexico. So this team responds when they can go home after a road loss. So very good spot for you here, Cheese, and I'm with you.
Let's go. Dookie, any opinion here before we wrap up?
Of course, I'm with you. This is one of those where typically when it's an unranked team laying points, it's always about like 2 to 3, 2 to 4. For it to be upwards of 5 and move that way, you got to love it because obviously, like you said, a team that's 19-2 and ranked is getting points. And what SDSU's lost, is it 3 of their last 4 or something like that? They haven't been too hot here recently. So I like that you're playing kind of buying low. Yeah, they're 2-3. They lost to New Mexico, got one against Nevada, lost to a close one to Boise, beat Wyoming, and then go to Colorado State and get beat pretty good. So yeah, I like it. Let's go Aztecs.
Yep. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight. Latest edition of the 3 Idiots tonight. Clint, once again, thanks for joining us. This is our homie here. Probably be seeing a lot more of his face around the Fade U streets. The one and only Hazmat, the poop master himself. And y'all already know Joey Cheese. We'll be back. We'll probably bang some more shit tomorrow. So, dude, what happens when you bet on poop?
You sit back, you watch Manhattan play Quinnipiac and say a little prayer. Let's go.
Peace.